You know, every time you launch your boat on any body of water, or the same body of water, depending on who you are and where you're fishing, there's always gonna be something that's changed. You know, today the wind's howling out of the northwest. Tomorrow it could be dead calm when we get here. It could be cloudy. You just never know. And for a fisherman, that means you've got to adapt every time you go out. And today's episode is going to be focused on looking at fishing a same general area on a body of water, but at different times, and how the fish move different, how they set up, and how you as the angler can take some of the information, some of our successes and some of our failures, to help you be more successful next time you launch your boat. So let's get out on the water and see what we can't learn. You know, a lot of times when I'm fishing any place, I'm always looking for telltale signs of things that might be going on. Right now, I've just unloaded and there are herons all over this flat right here. And usually when you're starting to see herons, you know, that are out wading like that, that means they're eating bait fish. And if they're eating bait fish, those little fish like that, little shad, little bluegill, that means there's gonna be something else in there eating those as well. We're gonna take advantage of this flat. I see brush all along it, and I'm gonna go up here and I'm just gonna drift down this flat, probably throw a moving bait, either a crankbait or a spinner bait, and see if we can't get a few bites. But I mean, any time in my life when I see that many birds along that stretch, I mean, it's just a sign that I probably better go cast something there and see what's going on. There he is. Golly, that's a good one. Third flip, I'd say looking at those birds was a big key deal right there. Golly. I'm gonna drop the power poles right here. Maybe not. Pretty good one right there. I'd say that's a pretty good start to the day right there. You know, that's just, I really had no preconceived notions, and I've tried to begin to fish more and more like that, where I'd ease along and see what I could go find, and I saw all those birds, and I mean, where there's birds, there's gonna be a bunch of bait. I'd say that's a pretty good start to the day right there. All right, we're gonna let that guy go. I take that as a good sign. Take that as a good sign, that's pretty exciting. I mean, we were just kind of idling along out there after having just unloaded, playing a little bit with the quick draw. New area, thought we would map it a little bit, saw all the birds, and I mean, literally came out of about 30 foot of water up to 3, which was pretty shocking how fast it came up. And I flipped right by that laydown right there. Actually, it's a bush, and bam. That was pretty good. Really light bite. Man, it makes all the sense in the world. You can see the big channel swing right there as you kind of look at it even a little further. Probably the deep water from the river right there. And just a great feeding and spawning flat, both. I mean, we're here at the time of the year where there's gonna be some fish on the beds. You know, every year in bass fishing, when the water temperature climbs to that magic mark of 60, you start hearing guys go, wow, I quit catching them. Boy, they were biting great a couple of weeks ago, and now I can't catch them. Well, I've always believed that in that water temperature between 55 and 60, the fish are moving out of the deep water for the first time. They're feeding up. You can catch them on reaction baits. You can throw lipless crankbaits. You can throw crankbaits. You can throw your jerk baits. You can wind spinner baits out there, and fish just seem to be more aggressive to those reaction baits. When you get that first push to the bank and when that first big wave moves up shallow and you move instinctively with them, that's how we're built in our mind. We think they've got to be up there, and all of a sudden you can't catch fish, and you're like, what happened? Where did they go? They're just not biting. I think I'll go home and mow the yard. Well, don't go home and mow the yard. Slow down. Pick apart pieces of cover with soft plastics. You know, take a big bite baits, fighting frog, and flip it into a bush and kind of swim it around a little bit. Slow yourself down and in and around those same areas that you were catching those fish on a reaction bait, because they've just moved up into another area, and I don't know what it is. To me, I've always said they kind of feel sick. They've gotten sick. Well, it's when they're first going to the bed and they're setting up, and their strike zone has all of a sudden shrunk down to the size of a pie plate or smaller, and they're setting up to spawn. And when they're setting up to spawn, you better slow down. There he is. Another good one. Little tick. Come here, buddy. Boy, these fish are fat, healthy. Look good right up here. I mean, we're right, you can see the herons and the egrets all taking off right there behind us, which kind of clued us into that flat. And just kind of drifting along, flipping to some of this light cover. I've thrown a spinnerbait around, I've thrown a square bill around as well. I didn't get any bites on that, which tells me these fish may be really setting down to spawn. See what we can do to catch a few more.
After the break, Wade continues searching the shallows for spawning bass. Stay tuned for more Fisherman's Handbook.
A lifetime. It's spent learning, enduring, and growing. Day after day, season after season. As an outdoorsman, your pursuit is tireless. And at Cabela's, ours is too. We design, refine, and deliver durable, purpose-built products that you can trust your season with. If our name's on it, it's priced right every day and built for seasons to come.
For 50 years, Ranger has led the way in innovative, high-performance designs, and we're raising the bar again with a bold new flagship line, the Ranger Z Comanche L Series. These rigs are custom crafted with a passion for perfection and loaded with more features and advantages to deliver domination at every level. The next generation Ranger L Series. Celebrate a legacy, 50 years in the making.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. Garmin. Fight your fish, not your fish finder. And by Yamaha Marine. Reliability starts here.
There you go. Right on there. Come here, buddy. Boy, did that not make sense for a bass to be there. Long Willie going into a pocket. And he choked on it. Good bass right there. Thank you, Mr. Fish. You know, what we've got going on right now, water temperatures are in the low 60s, 61 to 62 degrees. We're up a river and there's tons of flooded cover. Lots and lots and lots of small fish up here that are rushing to the bank to begin to spawn. You know, and the fish that are gonna be anywhere from 16 inches to 10 inches. And those little male bass, those little bucks, are gonna be scattered throughout the brush. And what I'm gonna do without question is take the big bite baits, Fighting Frog, in the 3.5 inch sign. It's a perfect size to be able to just cover water and know that you're gonna get some bites. Know that those fish in that 10 inch to 16 inch range are gonna react to it, whether I'm swimming it, whether it's sitting on the bottom, whether they're hitting it on the immediate file. It's just a bait that's designed to catch a lot of fish. Now, don't get me wrong, I've caught some giants on this bait. I've flipped it at Falcon, I've flipped it across the nation and caught big fish, but without question, that size of a bait is designed to get you lots of bites. Oh, that's a good one there. Come here, buddy. Swim right across there like we were talking about. A lot of times when you come into these pockets, you just gotta really position yourself in a manner to not ruin the pocket before you get in here. You know, by that I mean don't come blowing in here on high 24, high 36, depending on your trolling motor, running in here throwing wake all over it. I mean, kind of think about like being a cat. You're sneaking up on this area and not spooking all these fish out of here and then being subtle. I mean, we're catching these fish in less than 2 foot of water. So, I mean, anything that's gonna be kind of changes their environment, makes too much noise into their environment, it's gonna spook them out of there. You know, the techniques and tactics are pretty simple. I know from past history, you know, water temperatures get above 60 and a day like today, the bass are gonna go to the banks. And when I've got isolated cover like this, it's just a matter of going down and determining where these fish are setting up and what they want the bait to do. Right now, we're getting reactionary strikes when it first goes in, as well as when we start swimming it out. There's definitely fish on the beds. It's a little cloudy, the water's a little stained, we can't necessarily see them, so we're blind pitching into cover that we think are gonna have some bass, you know, set up to spawn, and it's paying off. The scenario and the setup, it's once again very simple. 1/4 ounce weight. I'm actually pegging it to the soft plastic and to the weight so that everything stays in a nice compact profile, so that when it goes into the brush, everything's together. Swimming it in and out, hopping it up and down a couple of times, and the bites are either very subtle, swimming off, or they're knocking 2 feet of slack in there, setting the hook from there. 20-pound Sunline fluorocarbon. I mean, the watercolor it's got enough stain to it. I feel like I can get away from that. And I've got a chance to catch a couple of big ones up here, so I want to be able to have some power and some backbone and strength to be able to get those fish turned out of there. Good one. Get out of the tree. Finicky little guy, he hit it swimming it out of that bush. Come here, Walt, we got you coming that way. Little fat fish there. Oh, thank you, buddy. That's pretty. Wow, hook just fell right out. You know, I've lost a lot of fish today. Just barely picking it up. Little fatty moving up. We'll let you go back, buddy. That just picture perfect, doesn't that look like the place you ought to catch one? Little point with some trees on it. We've ran that same pattern many times in the springtime where you just kind of go down and hit that cover like that. And sometimes you can catch several of them in the same type of situation. See if there's not a couple more up in there. There's one. Yeah, flip back up there on the outside edge and caught that little guy. Calm down so you don't tear my bait up. All sizes. They're all fun. Buddy, I can't even get my fingers in your mouth. Let you grow back up. Get him at the bait real quick. There's one right there. Better one. Off the end of that road bed. Come here, buddy. Back up a bit so we don't. Might be several of them. So typical in the springtime. You get that afternoon warm up, these fish start moving up, getting aggressive, biting. And we've thrown a lot of different baits to catch fish.
When we return, the seasons change, and so do the patterns used to target fish. See if Wade can figure out these early summertime bass.
The key to a great boating experience has the Yamaha name on it. It's your key to legendary reliability. Right now, during the Yamaha Key to Reliability sales event, purchase any qualifying Yamaha outboard and exercise your power of choice between 5 years of Yamaha warranty protection or up to $1,500 in Yamaha dealer credit. The key to reliability is now your key to a great deal on a Yamaha outboard. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Quiet, you sons of fishes! Now, what?
I'm switching sonar.
Why?
Cause now I can see fish swimming live in front of my boat. I even see fish attack my lure. Y'all's sonar's just history. I'm out.
I'm with him.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Cabela's. It's in your nature. Ranger Boats, still building legends, one at a time. Engel Coolers, a legend in reliability. And by Big Bite Baits, designed to bring the big bite to your line.
You know, that was really a great spring day of fishing. Never fished that end of the lake before where we were. Launched the boat, ran down, saw the birds, thought, man, they've got to be some fish there. There's obviously bait there because those birds are feeding on that bait. Went to flipping soft plastics, got a big one right away, and then caught a lot of fish as the day went on and just kind of fished instinctively. Had an absolute blast with all the fish that we caught there. Now we're back in the same general area. We're gonna unload on a different boat ramp, and it's a summertime pattern. It's warmed up a lot more. The fish are off the bank. And let's see if we can go through this day and take the information we learned on our other trip up this end of the body of water and catch some fish. I look back when I was younger, and a lot of times I would go fishing with so many preconceived notions. And there's nothing wrong with having a plan. There's nothing wrong with you know, checking all of those instincts and checking those reports and following up on them when you get to the water. But once you get to that body of water, try to live in the moment. See what's happening while you're out there and try to adjust and adapt as the day goes on, because if you do, I promise you, you will become a better angler. Let's go see if we can't find a few. There's a point right here. You can see not only on the GPS a lot of depth changes into it, but I can see some scattered bushes. And this lake's up after a prolonged drought, and I look back on my other trip earlier this year here, and everything was around bushes. So we're gonna start out right here in 13 foot of water and flip some of these deeper bushes and see if some of these fish have moved out some of this deeper cover. There's a better one. Nah, he's not that good. He's not even a keeper. But down inside that willow tree, he thought he was bigger than what he was. I love those isolated willow trees like that with the wind blowing in on them. You just feel like when you flip in there, something good is about to happen. You can see how fast the wind's blowing. It's already blown me off of that tree. You know, that particular fish right there, the sun is just as bright as it could be. And there's one little shady spot. And you would think that a guy could go in there and catch several fish out of a spot like that. I mean, bass are just like us. They don't want to be out in the most bright sun all the time. So we're gonna go back up there and get a little better boat positioning and see what might happen. You know, let the fish tell you, what they want a lot of times. And if the fish won't tell you what you need to be throwing, then you're probably not throwing the right thing. And by that, I mean, if you're not getting bites, it's pretty obvious you're not either in the right location or you're not using the right baits. Well, I was wrong. There was only one home, the one that liked my critter. When you're in those situations and you fished around for a while and you haven't got a bite and you haven't, seen any action at all, either change your techniques, move back a little bit, change the bait, change the color maybe, or move to an all-new area. That sounds very simple in theory, and it sounds like it'd be the most obvious thing in the world. You're like, hey, Captain America, hello. But the reality of it is, as fishermen, we can get in these ruts and we get stuck a lot of times doing the same thing, and then you wake up, you look around, you're like, wow, 3 hours and I haven't had a bite. When you talk to a lot of the top turning professionals, they truly believe somewhere, someplace at all times there's a bass biting. They've just got to figure out that piece of the puzzle. And that's the same thing for you as a recreational angler at home or a weekend tournament angler. You've just got to dial it in and figure out what the puzzle is, put the pieces together, and go catch fish. There he is. Mean little guy. You're not that big. Whoa, and he got away. I'm gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna tell you he was 4 pounds. He was closer to 4 inches than 4 pounds. He might have gone a pound. Another one of those light bites. Every day is different. Some day when you flip into a bush, the whole bush moves. Other days you flip into a bush and it's, nothing, you don't feel anything. And then you start picking it up and there's just a little slight resistance there, and that's your bite. And the guy that figures that feeling out or what they like is the guy that catches the most on those types of days. And it's so amazing to me on how you can have so many people flip and fish the same stretch, and you see that go down where one guy, and he's just got the confidence to do something that's making those fish bite that particular day. Always a way to catch them.
The big fish are biting somewhere on this body of water, and Wade is working to find them. But once he finds the fish, can he keep them hooked up? Find out next on The Fisherman's Handbook.
Hobie's Mirage Drive kayaks set the standard for fun on the water. Whether your passion is fishing, sailing, or recreational adventure, Hobie's got a kayak for you. Hobie's Mirage Drive mimics nature's proven designs for efficient and powerful propulsion and enhances your kayaking experience. Mirage Power, Mirage Performance, Mirage Drive. Hobie, enjoy the ride.
Many said that we were just obsessed when we started, that there had to be an easier way to smoke food. As time passed, the Bradley family created a lineup of Bradley electric smokers that has made it easier for the novice or even expert chef to get perfect results every time they use it. Grab yourself a Bradley smoker and take your cooking to an all-new level.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Sawyer Products. We keep you outdoors. Bradley Smoker, food smoking made easy. And by Gill, dress like a pro.
The little one. You know, if you're a tournament fisherman, your sign would be move. If you're a fun fisherman, you would say, boy, this is a fun day. And that's a unique thing about fishing, is everybody does it for a different reason. You know, I'd say I've probably had 10 bites so far, and maybe one of them was a keeper out of all 10 of them, and the rest of them have all been 10 to 13 inches. And so, you know, as a fisherman, like I said, you have to determine, is this a fun day or is it a tournament day? And you know, are you looking for big ones or are you looking for small ones? As far as getting bites, this has been really good, and we're definitely got it figured out that there's a lot of fish on these flooded bushes on every basically point that we come to. And I'm sure there's probably some bigger ones down there, and we probably need to either upsize, maybe put a big ½ ounce weight on and crash through this brush to get a reaction bite. I don't know. We may have to do some of that in a minute. You know, there's different mindsets as a fisherman out there. There's the tournament guy that's fishing to win. And in the same conditions, he may be conditioned to come out here and throw a big swim bait or a big spinner bait or flip a 5-inch creature bait in some of these deeper bushes and targeting only 5 bites. But from a recreational angler, he's just wanting to go out and get a lot of bites. He doesn't, you know, necessarily care about trying to catch the biggest fish in the world. He may tell you that, oh, my goal is to catch a 10-pounder. But after about an hour of trying and not getting a bite, he's ready to go to the bank and just simply get a lot of bites. And that's where the majority of the fishermen fall. So if you're that kind of guy that likes to get a lot of bites, soft plastics is a great way to go do it. Think about that little fighting frog. We're gonna have to get another one, but I'll show you. It makes a great jig trailer, a great chatterbait trailer. This is the smaller version. I think I'm gonna upsize, but you can see the little legs. I mean, even in the wind blowing right there, you can see them moving, and that's part of what makes that bait deadly. You know, humbling is a word that I think can be used all the time in fishing. How the best anglers in the world can go from being a hero one day and leading a tournament to going out and never getting a bite the next day. Fishing the same areas and never get a bite. How does that happen? Well, the fish changed, and the fisherman didn't change with them. He got out of tune, he got out of rotation, and the clues didn't happen, and the fish just didn't come for him that day. And then the next day he can go out and be that hero again. That's why we absolutely love bass fishing, because it challenges you every day you go out on the water. So hopefully today's episode gave you some tips, gave you some techniques, showed you some products that help you be more successful on your next fishing trip. And remember, some days you're gonna catch them all and you're gonna be the guy in the boat that everybody wants to be, and other days you're gonna be the guy in the back of the boat going, why can't I get a bite? That's just fishing.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word: confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
SX1 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line.
Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
At Sawyer, we use the best technology to make simple products that keep you going regardless of your journey. So whether you're boating, hiking, fishing, camping, or hunting, we keep you outdoors with a full lineup of products to both protect you and make the outdoors more enjoyable. Sawyer, we keep you outdoors.
Here at Big Bite Baits, we've got a big line of different plastics, and they're all a tool, so you want to have them with you all the time.
I made several checks in crowded areas flipping that right there. Just a 6-inch big bite creetail worm.
Here at Big Bite, we came out with 4 brand new colors this year. All 4 of these colors are going to be great fish catching baits.
Definitely my #1 go-to bait that Big Bite has out right now is the Big Bite Battle Bug.
Big Bite is leading the way when it comes to innovation and colors.
From the makers of Bubba Blade comes the Bubba Blade Fishing Pliers. No matter where you're headed to fish, this tool will become an integral part of your tackle box for many years to come. They feature our patented no-slip grip handles, just like our Bubba Blade knives, ensuring that this tool will stay firmly anchored in your hand. In addition to the handles, these pliers feature a super tough cobalt cutter and convenient split shot and leader sleeve crimping cutouts. The ultimate in control, strength, and durability. Bubba Blade.
Engel's got the original high-performance cooler and a whole lot more. Engel coolers, go with the original.